Well, it's been called the greatest debate performance in our lifetime. And it could be true. I'm sure there were stronger debates throughout history. I heard that, Reagan just mopped the floor with him. But I was 10. I don't know. So all things, anythings that we need to take away from the debate last night, the VP debate, and possibly how many people actually watched. Of course, we're going to talk about that. All things and reaction to it, which is hot and heavy, still coming in this morning. Also, Iran attacked Israel yesterday. You saw plenty of video and reaction from that, what happened overnight. The Diddy story, an update on P. Diddy. It's gross and only getting grosser. But what happened yesterday at a press conference is going to involve a lot more names. And we're going to try, that's all some heavy headlines today to talk about. We're going to try to lighten it up with some spooky season stuff about Halloween and what it means to the adult buyer Halloween market. With all that said, it's Wicked Radio, Tuesday, October 2nd already. My name is Bill Adams. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Let's get to some stuff. Let's get to a debate. Debate Domination. Boy, I'm glad I watched this. And if you didn't watch the whole thing, I think you should have. I know it's tough. It's tough to pre-hype this thing talking about a VP debate. Usually it's not too consequential. I get it. I totally understand that. I will be honest with you. I didn't even plan to watch wire to wire, but I did because I thought it was fascinating. And I thought pretty much in line with what a lot of people are saying as far as J.D. Vance's performance last night. I thought it was absolutely stellar. Yes, I'm a fan of the guy. I think he's one of those higher IQ, higher performing individuals going into this, so I'm biased anyway. But I tried to step back and look at this objectively, and I said, this guy is absolutely brilliant. And Tim Walz, remember I was on here yesterday saying, what I really want to see is JD to get under Tim Walz's skin and to get him really mad because he's got this rage fit thing going on. I wanted to see a Tim Walz meltdown. I wanted to see him on there going, "Grr," and start yelling, which he's done in public stages before. That didn't happen, but he was shaken. As you're going to hear here in a couple of minutes, he was pretty lost at times, and there were some massive blunders on his part. He was not prepared. But don't just take my word for it. Let's take the word of the low IQ individuals on MSNBC. How did they take it? Would you like to hear what a real meltdown is on the air live? Well, this is it.
It's the audacity. I agree with you that we're in year 9 and no one knows how to cover the audacity. Mm-hmm. The audacity is that someone should have said, stop it, stop. Are you effing kidding me? And they should have dropped that F-bomb, right? I mean, they should have just, this is a debate. This may be the only chance people have to see the difference.
That, my friends, is Nicole Wallace on MSNBC last night. Do you think they thought things went well for their debate last night? No. And remember, we had this sound for you yesterday. They had set expectations low anyway for their low IQ viewers to tell them, Tim Walz is not a very good debater. We're not expecting much out of this. So for them to set the bar that low and for things to go that badly, it was super bad for them. And she just had an absolute meltdown on the air over this. Why was he good? Some examples. I thought JD did a great job summing up conservatism in a way that was eloquent, but he got all the points in, and for sure 2 goals last night the Trump campaign had after the Trump debates. We want to make sure that you tie Kamala Harris to the current administration. She's in power right now. So all this stuff, all this pain we're feeling as Americans, it's on her watch. And number 2, not going to get fact-checked by the debate moderators anymore. Here's a great summation of why JD did such a great job.
Honestly, Tim, I think you got a tough job here because you've got to play whack-a-mole. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver rising take-home pay, which of course he did. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver lower inflation, which of course he did. And then you've simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries, and housing unaffordable for American citizens.
So what do you sum up in a, 20-second soundbite, something like that? You tied Tim Walz and Kamala Harris to what's going on right now. You summed up exactly all the pain that Americans are feeling. And you also reminded everybody, all of us, and we need that sometimes, that things were really good before they got into power, before Kamala was there in power. Really, really good. And there was something else to this, too. And I didn't really realize it last night live at the time, but thinking about it later on and kind of putting some notes together for the live stream today, he also did it in a way that was Yeah, he's a charismatic kind of guy, you know. Ladies do like J.D. Vance. But he also did it in a way where he seemed kind of sympathetic to Tim Walz. And he said it right there. He goes, Tim, I think you got a really tough job on your hands here. You're playing whack-a-mole with all of Kamala's crazy policies and her failures and her incompetence. That was really good. So in a delightfully calm kind of way, he put down both of them without coming off nasty himself. Let's face it, Trump, and a lot of us like this, Trump comes off as, the bull in the china shop and the aggressor. JD's a little bit different. He's craftier. And I tell you something, for everybody that told Trump, and this has continued all the way probably until last night, that he made a big mistake. A lot of people in the Republican Party still, to this day, telling Trump that he made a mistake picking J.D. Vance. Where are they today? What are they saying today? Because they look like idiots. He was the perfect pick. You know what makes Trump look even better? The fact that, and of course it came up, the question, J.D. Vance and Senator Vance in 2016, you criticized President Trump for his economic policies, and you said it would be a disaster. That makes Trump and it makes Vance look even better, because what looks more credible? You actually doubted him at first, but then did the research, made a mistake, and now you're an even stronger proponent for the Trump policies. Brilliant move by Trump. It really was. He knew this the entire time. He knew that JD is a higher level performer, but he also knew that because Vance was a critic of Trump just a few short years ago, and now that he supports him, that's not just for politics. He actually did the work, looked at it, learned, came out and told the American people he learned. He came out and said, you know what? I was wrong about that, and Trump was right. Win for Trump last night. There was another goal, and we talked about this. It has to stop. You can't. The Republicans are going to have to start fighting. They're getting better at this, but they have to start fighting and stop being such wimps. And as the MAGA movement, real conservatives, Trump supporters, Trump surrogates, whatever you want to call them, whatever they are, as they slowly but surely weed out the rhinos and the wimps and the uniparty swamp monsters out of the Republican Party, it's getting closer to what they need. But the next major step is we should never see that again. We honestly shouldn't. The debates for Americans to get information about presidential races should be on massive podcasts, the Joe Rogans of the world, the All In podcast. And David Sachs should moderate one. Even on the left-leaning ones, whatever it is. Go to new media and get away from these stupid alphabet letter media companies with their bias. This is the second debate in a row. It's been 3-on-1. J.D. Vance happened to handle it perfectly. And even though the rules said and stated clearly, and they even reiterated that at the beginning of the debate last night, there would be no fact-checking. The mics will not be turned off, and there will be no fact-checking. Well, 3 times they tried to fact-check J.D. Vance. On the 3rd time, he was not having it.
Maura,
thank you.
Senator, we have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because...
We're going to turn now to the economy. Thank you.
Margaret, the rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check. And since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP.
Look how far we've come now, because more Americans than ever, more just independents, conservatives especially. But most people would always say in past debates, what would you always hear? Oh, I hate it when they talk over each other. That's changed, because he's getting a lot of credit and he's being praised for fact-checking the fact-checkers this time, because now more people than ever are aware of what they do. They will set out the rules and they break them time and time again in these stupid debates that they set up on the mainstream networks. That's got to stop. And it's only going to stop when Republicans, when the GOP gets smart and gets tough and they insist that they're not going to have any more of these surrogates for the Democrats hosting the debates. And that even happens on Fox, by the way. Let's be completely fair. Get away from these mainstream networks and go to where people are now to get their news. They're on X now. They're on YouTube. They're on social media. Get away from these stupid networks. I think a lot of people watched this last night, but they had no other choice. Republicans have to get tough on this. All right. In every debate, there's a takeaway, right? There's always some kind of a takeaway line. People remember, because you can't remember all of that stuff. You remember a general feel and how you feel, how your guy did, who you think won. The takeaways are multiple on this one, and they're all about Tim Walz. What is with the China thing? How do you not know that this is coming down the pike? So amazingly, the lying about the service record did not come up. They didn't ask about it, of course. going back to CBS moderators. But they did, I give him credit on this one, they did ask him about lying about being in Tiananmen Square in 1989 for the, populist revolution shutdown. He lied about it time and time again. You got to know they're going to ask you about it, right? You got to be prepared for that. What was his response? This was absolutely cringeworthy. In fact, some Democrat analysts were saying it was cringeworthy on their own. Tim Walz explaining the China situation. Oh, my God.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this is I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
It's just what I said. I misspoke. And he's sweating. He's also got the liar eyes thing. Have you seen that? He's like, his eyes are like this wide when he's explaining everything like this. And he looks like he's just like, saw a ghost. That was so bad. But that wasn't the only cringeworthy moment. And this was a rewind moment for me. Did you hear this? I had to say, excuse me?
So I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA.
I think at the time, so I'm watching this with my wife, Lauren, and we're, watching the thing. And, TV's in front of me. And kind of like talking to her. And I went, what did he just say?
So I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA.
Immediate reaction at the time, I said, okay, he misspoke. I think, it's like I'm trying to explain it away for Tim Walz, which wasn't even happening in his own brain. Well, I think probably what he said was, I've become friends with victims of school shooters. That has to be it. And he said it twice. You don't say a mistake like that twice without something really weird going on. Everywhere that was picked out. The Trump campaign immediately put out memes, campaign signs that said, Trump, and this was within like 2 minutes last night, live as it's happening. Trump Vance, 24, not friends with school shooters. Brilliant. That's getting tough. Fantastic. The reaction to the China thing, the reaction to the school shooters comment. Again, let's go to the Democrats. Let's go to CNN. Their reaction to it, they were not happy, despite lowering their own expectations.
What I think isn't as relevant as what I was hearing from Democrats, who were kind of doing it, whatever you do to cringe over a text, they were not thrilled about that answer.
It was very cringy. I mean, and he should have known that it was coming.
When CNN says your performance was cringy, and I love when they always go to that line. That's like the new thing they'll go to. And here's my phone here, in fact. Like Dana Basher, you just heard right there, she'll go to, yeah, I'm getting texts, and they said this during the Kamala debate. Yeah, I'm getting texts from my friends within the Democrat Party, and they're saying this, they're saying that. When she gets out, she whips out her phone and says, they're saying it was cringy. You know it didn't go too well. You got an instant reaction, too. Speaking of social media from President Trump, of course, he said things like, great job, JD. We will make America great again. Also said this. It's Trump's version of saying, do you remember the original Rocky movie when, Rocky's, getting there and he's doing a great job and he's the hero of America, and all of a sudden the crowd turned for him, and Apollo Creed turns to him afterwards and he says, ain't gonna be no rematch. This is Trump's version of that, because he said, Lion Kamala just put out a request for another debate because they lost so badly tonight. Again, it was like the fighter who lost gets up and says, I want a rematch. So I wouldn't expect that to happen. What a campaign mistake, though, for Kamala to even ask for another rematch, to say it twice, because it's not going to happen. But you know what the headline will be today. Expect it. We all know. We know how to expect this. Trump afraid to debate Kamala one other time. All right. What a debate. Will it make a difference, by the way? I know that most people say VP debates don't, but this is a really tight election so far. Again, if you believe the polls. We're just going by that. What else can we go by? It might. It really might. For independents in places like swing states like Pennsylvania, it really might make a difference, because you just need a slim margin to make that difference. All right, you heard about this. You saw this yesterday. Scary, scary scene in the Middle East as Iran attacked Israel. Reportedly over 180 ballistic missiles, most shot down by Israel's Iron Dome. Maybe some hit military bases. So far, Israel, the IDF is saying that they have no known casualties from this, which is quite amazing. You know the repercussions, obviously. Iran says that we're done attacking, but we will show full force for any ally of Israel that protects them or works with them. Yeah. Okay, fine, whatever. Israel, for its part, says, of course, they're going to retaliate with full force. I don't know, but it's a scary, scary time. It really is. It's a scary time for lack of leadership in our White House. But what was that response, by the way? It's not even worth playing. It was Kamala reading off a script, and I guess that appeasement didn't work, huh? Telling Iran don't attack. Guess that didn't really work. I guess freeing up billions of dollars and taking the sanctions away from them didn't work. Because here we are right now. There was your proof. It wasn't nearly enough of this asked in the debate last night, by the way. All right, we'll lighten this up in a minute. I know this is more gross stuff, but we got to talk about it because I think where it's going right now. If you paid attention to this Diddy story, Bill, why are you talking about celebrities? Who cares? Who cares about Hollyweird? Yeah, I felt that way about this story too at first. It escalated because apparently another 120 people are suing Diddy for sexual assault, sex trafficking, and other crimes. I know, I hear you. It's early and it's a gross thing to talk about, but still. A lawyer representing them, these are the alleged victims, says the claims by both men and women go back to 1991. Many of the alleged victims say they were drugged and other horrific things. I'm not even going to talk about it. To get a foot in the showbiz door. And the lawyer also said companies who profited from turning a blind eye to Diddy's actions will be named. They include banks, pharmaceutical companies, hotels, and even record labels like Bad Boy, Universal, and Epic. Okay, now it's something. Now it's not. Now we can start to put maybe some pieces together on this and why this is even a story right now. If this stuff has been going back to 1991, victims got together, put their ducks in a row, and now they're going after the big money people. This is why this guy's in jail right now. Diddy, that is, because he's a threat to some big, big names. And apparently, one of the lawyers at this press conference yesterday also said there's a tape going around showing a big Hollywood name, a big power player. Now we know that Hollywood and politics, they're all and big companies are all intertwined, going around showing that person at one of these parties. And somebody's shopping that around in a gross kind of way. What a disgusting industry, but I would keep an eye on it. When people told me that this looks and sounds more and more like Jeffrey Epstein when it first broke, it's tough to doubt him right now. I'll tell you that much. All right. Tough stuff. Gross stuff. But let's lighten it up a little bit. Into October already. It's spooky season, getting closer and closer to Halloween. We're getting to that point in time. And even though I know the Halloween decorations were out in July? You got to get your candy secured. You got to get your candy supply secured, everybody. This is important. In fact, there's a candy company called Ferrero. I never heard of them either. But the candy company Ferrero is trying to claim that grown-ups celebrating Halloween is a new trend. It's not a new trend. Always kind of considered it a great Halloween tradition anyway. Anyway, they put out a poll. This is also the season for Halloween polls. They found that 69% of adults buy candy this year, even if they don't expect trick-or-treaters. Well, yeah, because there's so much of it. The company released their 2024 Halloween survey, and they're even trying to get a new term trending, Adultaween. What does that mean? Well, things like this. Adults plan to buy Halloween candy even if they don't expect trick-or-treaters like we said. So, for a lot of us, they say, it's just an excuse to eat sweets. Of course it is. Who didn't know this? We didn't need a survey to tell us this. And by the way, you need to make sure the one golden rule, if you live near any people whatsoever, unless you live in a remote farm somewhere, you're going to get trick-or-treaters. Don't ever run out of candy. And if you're like me, where you have one kid that's not in the house, one kid that's not of trick-or-treating age anymore, so there's less candy coming in, you got to make sure you buy your stockpile of candy, the stuff you like, and hide it for yourself. That's not to be given out. That's just for you. Adultaween is not a new thing. It's been going on for years. It's for us. Not them kids. All right. More reactions going to come in today throughout the entire day about the debate. And look for this. We can predict it. Kamala will say, Trump is afraid to debate me again. Ain't going to be no rematch. Remember that. We'll see what happens here. All right. Tomorrow, see what's in the headlines. We get closer and closer to this election. Thanks so much for following along on the live stream. Appreciate that very much. It lives as a post on X and on YouTube. The audio podcast is up on Apple, I always forget it, Apple Music, as well as Spotify. Just search for Wicked Radio with Bill Adams, and you can find me. All right. There's a lot going on. These are crazy, crazy times. But I'll talk to you tomorrow. We'll have all kinds of new stuff to talk about. In the meantime, don't take any crap from anybody. Thanks for finding me, and have a great day.